The senator from West Virginia.
Mr. President, I ask for unanimous consent to speak for up to 10 minutes as if in morning business.
Without objection.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. We've heard from many of the members talking about the situation with the appropriations bill, and I'd like to add my voice to the chorus. For too long, uncertainty has hampered our nation's ability to grow our economy and make necessary investments in our workforce, our infrastructure, and our technology. It's imperative that we avoid an unnecessary and reckless, it was imperative that we avoided the reckless government shutdown this week, but that's just a short-term patch. Now more than ever, we need to take a longer-term actions to move our economy and our nation forward. As a gentleman from Arkansas mentioned, earlier this year, the appropriations on which we sit accomplished something that's not been done since 2009. We passed all 12 appropriations bills through the full committee. We did so in a fiscally responsible way. We did so within the budget caps agreed to by the Congress. Many of us here voted for those budget caps. And we did so with the broad-based bipartisan support. 9 of the 12 bills had broad-based bipartisan support. And these bills touch every aspect of government and every facet of our economy, from transportation, medical research, energy investments, to justice programs. These funding bills were robustly debated. So knowing all of this, why are the Democrats blocking the Senate from considering one of these single appropriations bill? Earlier this week, it was the defense appropriations. Today, it's the military VA, military construction VA. Why? Why are they blocking these same bills that many of them have previously voted for in committee and touted to their constituents? Last week, I had the privilege of traveling across West Virginia with the VA Secretary McDonald. We heard directly from veterans about their challenges and needs. One of the things we discussed was the Greenbrier County community-based outpatient clinic that had been closed. Secretary McDonald made a commitment with the over 200 veterans that we had in the room from that area there, that clinic would reopen quickly. But without the certainty of the funding that we have in these bills, Secretary McDonald cannot make those assertions across the country. We went to the Huntington VA hospital, where we met with employees and veterans, committed individuals who want to see our veterans treated the way we want them to be treated. But the advances in medical technologies can't move forward without a certainty of what the funding levels are. These men and women are brave veterans. They deserve our unified support and should not be subjected to the gridlock that's been so common in these past few years. The Military Instruction and Veterans Affairs Bill funds construction and care for facilities and services that assist our military veterans. It improves facilities for men and women who are willing to sacrifice for our freedoms. I will say many of our VA facilities are challenged with the 20% of, approximately 20% of women veterans that are coming out. They don't have the facilities to adequately treat our women veterans. This bill also includes funding for construction of state extended care facilities, which help construct, expand, and remodel nursing home facilities to care for our elderly veterans. We know that many of our veterans are aging in larger and larger numbers. Determining our nation's spending priorities, especially when it comes to our veterans, is one of Congress's most important responsibilities. Our process can work, and our government can function. We demonstrated that at the committee level. We need to demonstrate that as well today on the floor of the Senate. But make no mistake about this. This is not just about process. It is also about progress. Funding bills are not just numbers on paper. They're people. They're people. They're our veterans. They're our friends and neighbors, our fathers, our mothers, our sons and daughters. They represent our priorities of our nation. There are other things in the appropriations bills that are equally important. We passed out historic investments in NIH and community health centers. We passed out critical infrastructure improvements from expanding broadband access to trying to help with the drug epidemic. And you cannot measure the impact of programs like the National Guard's counter-drug program, which is helping to combat the spread of illegal drugs in our state, or the work of the Appalachian Regional Commission, which helps to improve the lives of so many. Endless continuous resolutions are not the most effective ways to meet these needs and can be proved wasteful in both time and dollars. Our bills provide critical funding but they also provide direction on significant policy matters that are facing this nation. When we operate from one short-term funding patch to the other, we as members of Congress are forfeiting our responsibility to hold the executive branch accountable. Advancing appropriations bills through regular order is a vital check on wasteful spending and overreach in our government agencies. We need to work together. We can start that today, and I hope that we will later this afternoon. These are broad goals, and the direct impacts of the bills that we have drafted and passed are shown in the goals are shown in those bills. As the Senate begins consideration for funding for military construction and veteran affairs, we should remember this. Governing is about setting priorities and bringing fiscal responsibility to the federal government while ensuring that we provide for the necessary investments and services. Supporting our veterans is not only necessary, it's about the men and women who put their lives on the line for us so we can enjoy the freedoms that we have here today. West Virginia is a very patriotic state with one of the highest percentages of military veterans. I want to see that they're cared for properly. I'm going to make that vote today, and I hope that my colleagues, the ones who are on the Appropriations Committee that have already voted in favor of this bill, will convince their colleagues on the other side that gridlock and obstructionism is not the way to go in this Senate. So with that, it's time to work across the aisle, pass this bill, and support our veterans. Doing so will strengthen our nation. And I yield back.